Hello everyone, in this presentation I will discuss hyperkalemia. You should be able to define what is hyperkalemia, identify the causes, understand the mechanism and identify the ECG findings. I'll focus to discuss on regulation of body potassium, definition of hyperkalemia, symptoms, causes, classification of hyperkalemia, effects at cellular level and ECG findings. Regulation of body potassium. Potassium participates in many processes in the human body, including neurotransmission and muscle contraction. Do you all remember the main role of the potassium? That is, establishment and maintenance of a negative resting membrane potential in the cardiac muscle cell. 98% of potassium is intracellular. Remaining 2% is in the extracellular fluid and blood. The daily intake of potassium varies widely, but body must quickly and precisely react to keep potassium levels within normal limits. Potassium excretion mainly occurs through the kidney and hormones. Impaired kidney function and certain other causes can lead to abnormally high serum concentration of potassium. Hyperkalemia is a life-threatening medical emergency. So, recognition of the ECG changes of hyperkalemia can save lives. Definition. Hyperkalemia means the blood potassium level is higher than the normal levels. The normal serum potassium level is 3 to 5.5 milliequivalents per liter. Symptoms. Most of the individuals are asymptomatic. If present symptoms, the symptoms seen are non-specific and related to muscular or cardiac function, such as muscle pain or cramps, weak or irregular pulse, chest pain, and difficulty in breathing. Causes of hyperkalemia: renal failure, adrenaline insufficiency or Addison's disease, excessive potassium intake, some drugs, and massive injury resulting in muscle damage. Classification of hyperkalemia. As generally, hyperkalemia classified into three types. First one, mild hyperkalemia. Second one, moderate hyperkalemia. And third one, severe hyperkalemia. Hyperkalemia develops due to excessive production or ineffective elimination of potassium ions. Ineffective elimination of potassium can be hormonal influence or due to renal failure. The ratio of intracellular to extracellular potassium ion is important for generation of action potential and essential for the normal function of cardiac, neurons and skeletal muscles. In this diagram, you all can see the high serum potassium ions outside of the cell than this one. So it really affects depolarization and repolarization of cardiac muscle cells and it causes many cardiac arrhythmias. In normal individuals, potassium ion effects on phase 2 and phase 3 in action potential of cardiac muscle cell. This is the action potential diagram of the normal heart muscle cell. This is phase 2 and this is phase 3. Do you all remember? In phase 2, potassium ion leaves the cell while calcium ions enters to it. So that is creating the plateau phase. During phase 3, potassium continues to leave but calcium channels are already closed. When extracellular potassium levels or serum potassium level increased, potassium ion conductance is also increased. So, if more potassium ion leaves the myocytes in any given period, that leads to increase the slope of phase 2 and phase 3 and shorten the duration of action potential. Here, with interrupted lines shows the action potential of the heart muscle cell in the high serum potassium settings. Notice that the slope of the phase 2 and phase 3 are increased and action potential duration shortened. As a result, faster repolarization causes the tenting T waves and ST segment depressions and QT interval shorten in the ECG. In further elevation of potassium ions, increase the resting membrane potential or become less negative. Notice that normal resting membrane potential is minus 90 millivolt. But that is become less negative with high serum potassium levels. In severe hyperkalemia causes an overall membrane depolarization that inactivates many sodium channels. It resulted in decreasing the rate of phase 0 of the action potential. So it represents in the ECG with smaller or flattened P waves, widened QRS complex and prolonged PR interval. ECG findings of hyperkalemia. Hyperkalemia produces predictable changes on the ECG. It is important to recognize the ECG changes of hyperkalemia, so it can prevent the development of potentially fatal cardiac arrhythmias. With mild hyperkalemia, the initial significant finding is tall and peaked T waves. These T waves are mostly prominently seen in L2, L3 and V2 to V4 leads. And most of the time QT interval is shortened. In moderate hyperkalemia, wide QRS complex are seen. And eventually P wave become flat and broad. Most of the time PR interval is prolonged. Severe hyperkalemia with very high serum potassium concentration or severe hyperkalemia result in sine wave pattern. Notice that there is a continuity between S and T waves and P wave may be disappeared. Finally, these sine waves leads into various conduction disturbances and arrhythmias such as ventricular fibrillation or asystole. These are some typical ECG patterns according to several serum potassium levels. But keep in mind, the levels and the ECG changes are slightly varies with patients' other conditions. According to the serum potassium level, patients present with tall, peaked, narrow-based T waves. These narrow-based T waves are which help to distinguish from the broad-based T waves typically seen in the acute myocardial infarction. The other thing is the QT interval. Most of the time QT interval may be shortened or normal. According to this serum potassium levels, patient present with reduced or absent P waves. If the P wave is visible, the PR interval is prolonged and QRS is widened. Further increase of potassium levels, patients present with wide QRS complex and P wave disappeared. QRS complex and T waves are replaced by sine waves. In elevation of high serum potassium levels lead to complete conduction block, such as ventricular fibrillation, severe bradyarrhythmias, and asystole. There is correlation between rise in serum potassium ion levels and ECG changes. These ECG changes involves the P wave, QRS complex, T wave, PR interval, QT interval, and ST segment. With increase in potassium level, decrease the amplitude and increase the duration of P wave. Then progressively become smaller and eventually disappear. Initial stage PR interval normal, but in higher levels PR interval prolonged. QRS complex amplitude of R wave decreases and total duration of QRS increases. Higher levels of QRS become white and bizarre. ST segment. It is difficult to detect because of continuity of between S and T waves. T wave. Tall tented T wave seen in all leads and best seen in precordial leads. QT interval shortened with rising in potassium levels. Here are some examples. This patient had 7.0 milliequivalents per liter serum potassium level. So in the ECG mainly shows tall, tented, narrow base T waves, mainly in L2, L3, V2, V3, V4 and V5 leads. And QT interval is shortened. Here is another example. Notice that you all can see the sine wave pattern. So that patient had 9.9 milliequivalents per liter serum potassium level. It may be ignored if tall T waves appear only in single lead in the ECG. Acute MI is the most important cause for tall hyperacute T waves. It appears due to increased serum potassium levels which is released from damaged tissues. It is advisable to compare with the previous ECG from the patient if available, and increase in the height of the T wave should be considered a warning sign. Do you know what is meant by pseudo-hyperkalemia? It is falsely raised serum potassium concentration. During blood drawing, potassium ion can leak out of the red blood cells due to hemolysis of red cells. In these conditions, the patient is clinically well and no ECG changes seen. Failure to identify this condition and if treated as hyperkalemia would be potentially life-threatening. Summary of ECG changes associated with hyperkalemia. ECG may shows tall, tented, narrow base T waves. This is the earliest sign of hyperkalemia. And most of the time QT interval is shortened. At the level is greater than 6.5 milliequivalents per liter, ECG may shows first degree AV block or prolonged PR interval. And QRS complex widened due to various conduction blocks. When serum potassium levels reach more than 7.5 milliequivalents per liter, these QRS complex reach to the sine wave. Once potassium levels reach greater than 9 or 10 milliequivalents per liter, patients may go into cardiac arrest, such as ventricular fibrillation, severe bradyarrhythmias, and asystole. Thank you very much, and we'll meet on another session.